How's it going, everybody? Today's restoration project is going to be the Stanley bench grinder. It's a 6-inch, 1/4 horsepower grinder from what I can guess is the 40s, 50s vintage. I looked around online and I could not find any information on these. All I found was some pictures from auction houses, and really the only differences that I saw in those pictures was the nameplate had Stanley Handyman and the bench grinder name there. This one, as you can see, just has a Stanley logo. It does not have the Handyman logo, so I'm not sure if this is an earlier model or a later model. So if you have any information on these grinders, please feel free to drop into the comment section of this video, because I'm really curious on the history of this and what vintage it is. So this is going to be a one-day build. So I started off in the morning tearing this down. I had it all stripped down and threw some paint on it about, was it like 11 o'clock in the morning, and let it dry. While it was drying, I was able to drive to our local McGuire bearing here in Portland, get new bearings for it, come back, put the bearings onto the shaft there, and in the evening I was able to put it all back together. So this is truly a one-day build. Alright, so we have this thing apart, and this part right here that I'm zooming in on, that is the engaging and disengaging mechanism for this motor for it to start up with. Now this is a what you call a split phase motor, so that means it does not have a capacitor to start it. This is older technology, which makes me think this is probably 40s, 50s era. And what that part there that I zoomed in on is it changes the current's pathway for starting, and then when it gets up to speed, about approximately 75% RPM, it goes to the main windings of the motor. I don't have a great grasp of how these things work, and there are people who are way better qualified than I am to explain this, and they have some awesome diagrams on YouTube that you can watch videos that really explain how these motors work. I'm not your guy for that. I can identify them, but can't really explain it that well. So here we are, we got painted, and like I said, this is a one-day build, so this paint I let it dry in that tree there for a couple hours, and now pulled it down, and here we go, we're putting it back together. As far as the paint color goes, I was feeling patriotic, and I went with a red, white, and blue theme. Everything I've done recently for restorations has been that original gray color or black color, trying to get as original as I can. It's kind of my thing. I try to not stray too far from what they would have looked like when they came out of the factory. This one, since there wasn't a whole lot of pictures online, and I figured, you know what, hey, we can use a little bit of color in the shop, liven everything up. As far as putting these things back together, they're pretty simple to go together. There's not a lot of pieces here. They're not complicated. The only thing I would advise you on if you're doing one of these is you have the 4 bolts that go through both castings there on each side, and you need to make sure the tension's proper in those. That way you're not binding those castings up against the bearings in that shaft, because otherwise you'll cause that shaft to bind up, and at a 1/4 horsepower you don't have a lot of extra horsepower to waste trying to fight those misaligned castings. Here I am rewiring it. This is the same thing I preach on all my videos. New wire is cheap, and it's cheap insurance, because old wire, over time, it disintegrates, and then you can have a risk of running a spark, electrocuting yourself, and catching your shop on fire. All very bad things. Here we are peeling off the paint, and there's the final product.